Okay, hi everyone. This is a Wolfram language design review, part of our language completeness and consistency series, and we have a variety of topics. Binding of pattern and alternatives. Why do I think this is going to be something incredibly horrifying and hard to understand?
Well, we talked about this, and there was some discussion of, whether we should change this. And right, so the issue is, according to the way the documentation is currently worded, it says that if you use a variable that only appears in a branch that isn't the branch that matches, it is bound to sequence bracket bracket, but that's not literally true. It just disappears completely. And there was some discussion, well, should we make it match the documentation or even try something else? So we did the experiment of making the implementation.
All right, and it flopped.
Right, like plot was broken with very odd messages. So I suggest we treat this as a documentation bug, and I have a suggested new note on alternatives to replace the current one.
Where is that?
On alternatives. In
I see.
I assumed you would have DocuTools handy.
Yeah, I can bring it up. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's obscure, but it's fine. Okay.
Okay. So this is another primary documentation-y thing. So the documentation, the main usage for default values currently says that it gives the transformation rules of default. But actually, it turns out it actually gives both the transformation rules for default and transformation rules for options, if there are any. Which has, this has always been the behavior. And, again, I have some suggested, well, they're actually, Ian and I each independently had made different suggestions for the new usage. So I thought, well, we should just make it short and then use the notes to clarify what it is. And Ian went with the option of, well, we should go long and make the main usage.
So you're saying that if I have, gosh, I can't even remember how one said options of F.
Right. So if you say options of F equals A goes to B, and then you look at default values of F, then you will see a rule for a hold pattern of options of F.
That's funky.
Yeah, it's a little funky.
This is very, antediluvian code. And I mean, the default concept did not turn out to be as useful as I thought it would be. Well, I mean, you're just documenting it to be correct, basically.
Correct.
I think that's the thing to do. I wouldn't muddy the stuff at the top if you can avoid it.
Okay, so just you go with what's currently the second usage note in that list of 5, which makes it short, and then use the notes to expand what default values.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think this is a corner case.
Okay, and I did put this additional question there at the bottom of, in various places, for example, the usage message of down values, it uses down values all lowercase, 1 word, which seems a little odd. Shouldn't it be 2 words if we've camel cased it? And I don't know if that's like an accident or deliberate.
I don't know.
You don't know.
That's really from just antiquity.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've always used down values. We've used it so long, it's become a word for us, even
Okay.
though it wasn't a word when it was first used. So I don't know how we deal with that. I mean, it's like web page, or web page now probably is one word, or website is now definitely one word, and it used to not be one word.
Mm-hmm.
So we hung ourselves here because down values used to be two words, but then we kind of made it a one word thing.
Okay, well, just, then,
I think we should just leave the inconsistency. It's a weird thing, but I think
okay,
It's
right.
consistent across all the values functions.
Right, so then our consistency rule is, as a function name, it's camel case, in text, it's all lowercase, one word.
yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, so this is one of these things that's going to be
Horrifying.
a little horrifying, although not, I mean, this is not entirely even, or arguably even mostly our fault. Right, so the behavior on Unix file systems is, right, a file has one or more links, and when the link count gets to 0, then it's quote unquote deleted. And it's possible to change the link count while a stream is open. And so this leads to various odd behaviors, which
So wait a minute, the link count is basically an inode. No, what
right.
explain?
Yes, it's an entry in the inode of how many hard links point to this inode.
Okay.
Right, and so maybe just going through the examples will sort of make this clear. So if you write to a file and then an external process deletes it, then it looks like everything is getting written normally, but then when you...
I see, it's written it into outer space when it will be garbage collected by the file system eventually.
Exactly, and there are no warnings because according to the POSIX, that's not an error. You can write to something with the link count of 0. Right now, if and again, like I said, there are different behaviors. So if you write to a file and while it's open, you close it, you use delete file on it. Well, delete file has the good sense to close the stream before before it actually changes the link count.
So it closes all streams that were open, known to our system, that were open to that.
Well, it closes the particular stream that it's closing. If there's a stream associated with the file it's been asked to delete, it closes that stream.
Okay.
And so, so then basically you'll see after you call delete file, you'll get the expected behavior of it will create a new file with the contents. And of course, the tour de force is what rename file, right? So if you use rename file and you move it across the same partition, then you get no error messages, and you won't see it at the old location, but at the new location you'll see everything,
including the stuff you've been writing to it.
Right, from
you move it across file systems, your toast, it's going to be writing off into La La Land.
Correct.
Brilliant.
And so then the question is, or a question is, what can or should we do to improve this situation? So this has been reported both externally and a couple of times internally. I think, to be perfectly honest, I think some of those internal reports are from people who are writing sloppy code, because if they actually closed their streams when they were done with them, they wouldn't run into this issue. But
how does this relate to locking?
How does this relate to locking? So locking says, I don't know how locking affects.
I think locking creates links to files. Chris, do you know? You're probably.
Well, I know that you can create lock. There's like a lock. There's like locks that you can put on files in POSIX, right? And I've tried that with this case, right? And of course, that doesn't affect that wouldn't prevent you from unlinking it. And you can kind of put a lock on a directory as well, one type of lock. But I also tested that, and you could still remove like a file from the directory.
I
So
see.
if you're talking about like operating system locks, I
Right.
don't think that could help.
Right, because operating system locks prevent multiple processes from writing to it at the same time. But I don't know that they
Yeah,
care.
okay. But they don't affect whether you can move it or things. Okay, what does a piece of C code do in this case? It just goes blup, basically.
Right, it basically calls write, right? So it calls write or F-write technically. And
Yeah, writes into just this disembodied file that doesn't that will never be seen again.
Right, and no yeah, I guess if you know the inode of the file, you might be able to read those contents prior to closing the stream. But the moment you close the stream, then it's garbage collected, right? So F-write never doesn't.
Well, it might not be garbage collected, but it is marked for garbage collection.
Correct. And so
I think this is just a feature of files, and this is so deep inside there's nothing we can do about this, is there?
Right.
Do we know it happened? Can we okay. When we write to a file, can we do something? I don't know whether fstat, I don't remember all these functions, but is there some way of figuring out whether we're in a disembodied, whether we're in a black hole, so to speak?
I think so. That's sort of option one, that maybe when we write, we check the link count, and if it's 0, we issue a message saying, dude.
Yeah, right. That seems like a sensible thing to do. Is there any other serious alternative?
Well, Chris made this proposal which wasn't entirely fleshed out, so maybe if he thinks it's a serious proposal, he can speak for it, which was that close could return something special if the file was deleted or moved in the process. But I don't know.
I think the bigger part of what I was trying to say was that we could just do nothing, because like has been said, it's just file system. C, it's not going to if you do F-write on some disembodied stream, it's not going to tell you. So I think it's acceptable that when you're trying to write to a file with write string or something, it doesn't tell you anything. I think that's fine. I don't think we necessarily even want that to be noisy in this case. And I tried different programming languages, like on Python, Java, and they don't. For this similar things obviously happen in those contexts as well. And like on writing, I wasn't getting it. It wasn't.
Okay, let's investigate the following thing. Is there a trivial fast system call that can find this link count on every write and can just generate a message if the link count is 0?
We could do that.
If that's fast, we should do it. If it isn't fast, we should punt.
Okay. Right, and I also, just because of, these reports, I raised the question which is my 4th bullet point, which is, do we need to better document the fact that you need to close streams when you're done, right? I mean, there is a note on write that it doesn't close the streams that open, but I don't know that.
Well, this is a code assistance type thing that, being able to look at code and say this never closed that stream would be a useful thing. That's where I would put it on the static analysis side. But what was I going to say? Yeah, giving a message on close is, I think, not a good idea. It's kind of like something terrible happened an hour ago. Sorry, we didn't tell you about it then. Now you've just lost all your data. Bye.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's my middle bullet point there. Possibly this comes too late, and I was trying to be generous. So,
right. I think that let's try and figure out whether we can do it on write, and if we can, great. And if that's too inefficient, then we'll have to punt.
Okay.
There's kind of, yeah, it's kind of obnoxious a little bit that on every write you're getting a message. I think that would be the only.
What do you mean?
And
If
with-
it's
yeah.
only a message if it's if something went horribly wrong. We're only saying you give a write, you give a message if the file has 0 link count.
Yeah. But nobody else, from what we've tested, it kind of seems like that's not something that other
So
people do.
what? That just
For-
means there
for
are
the
more
write.
bugs in other people's programs.
Yeah. And I mean, it's
a
not
mistake.
right. Like
I
we've
mean,
been it's not
look,
completely
how could it
lost
possibly?
if you had
look,
another
listen.
stream reading.
Say that again?
Yes, I see. You could have a stream, you could have a reading, but we don't have read-write streams.
We don't. If we had read-write streams, this would be a more complicated question.
Right. So we need to put a note in the code where we add this that says, if we have read-write streams ever, we've been meaning to have them for 30 years and we haven't had them yet. So I'm not holding my breath. But if we have read-write streams, then we need to change this criterion. And it needs to look and see whether there's a read stream that's been opened as well. And then not print this. Chris, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but it's not just our system, right? Somebody else could be reading from the file, have a stream that's open that's reading from the file, and then it's not lost until everything's closed.
I see.
Okay, so you're saying, I guess this is a scenario I haven't imagined. So we open a stream for writing, some other process opens it for reading, and even if it's deleted, as long as the other process opened its stream before the file was deleted, it will still see our writes until, what?
Okay, I got a compromise.
Okay,
Why don't we generate a message the first time this happens to a file? The first time the file was moved or deleted, if there are 1,000 writes to that same file, we don't generate a message subsequently. We just do it the first time.
yeah, I think that's possible,
Well, I'm sure it's possible to store that information in the file structure.
right? I mean, we do have obviously some metadata associated with the streams. So the question is, do we have some place to store it?
I think the answer is yes, but I mean, that would be my suggestion for a compromise. Chris, what do you think of that?
I think that could be workable. I mean, one thing to note is that on moving, right, that's harder to detect, right? The only time that would affect the link count is when it's moved to a different file system.
Right,
If you
but all
just
we care
move it,
about is
yeah,
the link count. I mean, the fact that the file moved.
Right. Yes. I mean, you said on delete or move, but in Chris speak, that's if the link count reaches 0. I mean, that's really the condition we care about.
Yep. All right, let's try going on that path. It will save. Somebody one day will thank us very much for putting in that message.
Yeah, like the external person who reported this issue.
Yeah, for example, or I'm sure it's bitten me in the past. I never really even thought about it properly. Okay.
Right. I mean, we can definitely look at those 4 specific things, but I mean, there is sort of the bigger point of and I have opinions about these 4 specific guys, but there's also a question of, right, I mean, we can spend we have 5,000 symbols, we can spend an infinite amount of time adding operator forms. So maybe
You know what we need here? We
What?
need a right-click menu that says look up and help. We don't have that. We should have it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It might be worth having, but the keystroke is easier anyway.
What is
Yeah.
the keystroke?
Shift
Command Shift F.
The fact that I don't know that is sort of shocking. It's because I don't usually do this for non-code type things.
I mean, it's faster than pressing the little pop-up thing as well, but
If I just need the usage message, I'll use Shift Command K to look at the templates. But if I want the actual help page, then it's Shift Command F.
All right. My attitude towards this is, if you think about natural language and you think about cases in which there are like intransitive versions of verbs or something like that, where there's both transitive and intransitive, for example, it's kind of like when you can get away with it, you do it, and when you can't, you don't. So
But that sentence did not parse at all for me.
That's probably because it had one of those optional intransitive verbs. No, I mean, what I'm saying is I think that the threshold should be high because we don't want to put in an operator form and then regret it because we blow away some other possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But my feeling is, in a case like split by, I don't see why we shouldn't have an operator form. We're never going to want a one argument form. I don't see why we shouldn't have an operator form there. That'll be my statement. And similarly, gather by, I would say the by functions would be a very reasonable place to have operator forms.
Which would have more or less been my position, because I like group by, for example, has an operator form. So then why doesn't gather by?
Yeah.
If you now, of course, can you tell me off the top of your head what's the difference between group by and gather by?
Yes, one of them makes an association, one of them doesn't.
Okay.
Group by makes an association, gather by just makes lists.
Okay.
See, I have used these functions.
Excellent. Now take while, I mean, I suppose it could, but we don't really do any of these, right? None of these while things have operators.
I don't think that's right to do that. I mean, I think that
yeah, take while seems like a very procedural. I mean, I know it really is a functional construct, but it feels kind of procedural. Maybe it's just because it has while in the name.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, is nest, I just don't see it. I don't see this. Does nest have an operator form?
No, none of that. That was the first thing I checked.
I mean, it could have one.
We're cutting you off.
What?
What would it be? I mean, it would be F comma
Fn.
N of X.
Yeah, it's like yes, Fn of Expa. It's kind of like it's kind of cool actually. I mean, it's like the nth power of F applied to Expa.
I mean, I suppose.
Oh, so an operator form would have two arguments for nest.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And they're not consecutive.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
Having done that before, Stephen, we're definitely cutting you off.
What do you mean having done that before? Which function?
It is no fun to implement. I don't remember, but I know I did it. Apply, maybe. I don't remember.
Well, it shouldn't be hard
it
to
can't be applied.
implement, but
the operator form for fold just takes F at the beginning, and then the additional argument goes in the second bracket.
well, I was gonna say if we have it for nest, what would we do for fold? Because fold already has a 2-argument form and a 3-argument form.
And I'll do X comma range of 10.
It's a little funky.
It's just strange.
It is strange.
Is it documented?
Yeah.
I mean, this one I can really see. Take while gosh, that's pretty weird. What the heck just happened here? Hello? Did I lose you all?
No, you're
No.
here.
We're here.
That was just absolutely weird. My screen.
I didn't notice a lapse.
What was it? Was it the help browser or something in the rest of your screen that went funky? Because
I think that this just changed the.
Huh.
Wow. Something really weird happened here. Well, never mind. I think it's something went full screen that wasn't full screen and it just, oh, wow. Okay, in any case, let me just see whether I can pull up the help browser. It may or may not be possible. No, that's opening in some invisible screen now. Well, I'm a one window. I'm restricted to one window now.
Well, you can always open the option inspector and forcibly move the window if it's
Oh, no,
hidden
it's okay.
somewhere.
Okay.
But or you could go to the window menu and select the window.
Well, it won't help if it's like if its coordinates are such that it's actually off screen.
Yeah, it's off screen.
Oh, but now press Command W to close it. Well, it's selected. Like if you press Mathematica window, press the window you want to destroy, and then press Command W.
Okay, but that doesn't do me any good if I can't open another one.
Well, try it.
I believe the help browser is designed to remember its last position.
Oh no.
I
Well, if
think
you really
something
want to
went
debug it,
off
you can
screen.
probably go help documentation to open another documentation window, kill the one off screen, and
Oh wow, what's that?
suspicious.
A very compact, it knew you already had one open, so it decided to open in very compact form.
Right.
Something is deeply confused. Okay, no matter. I think we should do the by functions. I think we should not. We should hold on the other ones.
Okay.
I think that nest f comma n is interesting, and probably we should just try and think through what consequences that would have.
Okay.
All right.
So somebody maybe make a ticket, or do we need it even? We have these in suggestion reports.
Right. So you can close. You can just close the while ones as disagree with suggestion, and just do the other two.
Split by, gather by. All right.
Are there other by functions that we haven't handled yet?
I suppose we can do a question mark by a star by and see.
Confirm by doesn't have one, although there's been a suggestion. I mean, there have been various ideas about having operator forms for lots of confirm functions, but it requires some thought.
But doesn't that, aren't the confirm by hold, and won't that destroy their holdness? That seems like it's yeah,
That's
so
right. That was one of the issues. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, there are a bunch that are just rearrangement type things, and those can have an operator form, I think, although we have to look at every single one of them. But I think these ones, this whole business about sub-values not being able to be held, it's possible one day we should address that issue. Anybody want to comment on that? Is that addressable by a sub-value hold attribute that the evaluator could see?
In principle, I think yes. What sort of effort? I can't claim to know the implementation of the evaluator well enough to comment on if there are serious conceptual difficulties, or how much effort that would be. We could.
I would speculate that it is neither conceptually difficult nor that much effort relative to all the other things, because I would speculate that it knows the head of the head of the head. It's going to recurse down to the head of the head of the head, and so it could store that information.
Right. Well,
so it does kind of. So I looked into this once, okay. and I know nothing. I know very little about how the evaluator works, and I was totally confused looking at it. But one of the things is that function already does this. So because you can give function a third argument to set the attributes for it, and then it will have effectively hold all sub values. So there's some carve out in the evaluator that was just super obscure and I didn't understand that handled this.
Why don't we look at this? That you're right that there must be something for the function case. Yeah. Maybe we just never thought it was important enough, and we just weren't doing enough operator forms to care. I think we should look at this.
This issue does come up a lot, though.
Yeah, it does. There are lots of places where we would have liked to have done a design that used sub-values, because sub-values are a creature of the last decade or so in terms of widespread use.
Right.
Mhm.
But now what would it be? There'd be hold all subvalues, hold first subvalues, hold all subvalues complete, or what would it be? Or would it just be one of them? You just have, you know,
one of them, I would think, but I mean, you know, that might be where we would start, and then maybe later on we'd need other ones. But I mean, I think initially it would just be hold the subvalues, because hold all the subvalues. Because remember, it's going to be the head of the head of the head.
I guess, well, I mean, I guess one question is, would we want to hold the subvalues without holding the arguments itself? In which
Yes.
case,
Yes, I think so.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
there are
so-
operator forms where you want that.
okay. Right, and well,
Look, I mean, we've got this case, I mean, I think it can get quite hairy. I mean, we've got a case like this, and then do you hold both Y and Z? I think the answer is yes, because the notion of firstness is no longer, you know, get what I'm saying? I mean,
right, it's first level of subness, or first level of, or first argument in
Yep.
the subvalue.
yep. And I think the only plausible thing to do is just hold them all and then let the function, because if you held them, the function can always decide to evaluate them.
Right, and I don't. Right, I guess the only. Right, the only possible so for most purposes, you know, complete versus not complete wouldn't make a difference. The real, except for if you start inserting sequences, right? I think that's going to be the only, but I mean, we could certainly start with the not complete version.
This will be quite transformative for a bunch of design issues we've had. It will be very, very helpful to be able to do this. Let's look at it. And I really hadn't remembered the function case.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect this is a Tom question.
Yes. All right. Here, let me. Well, Devin, send me an email today or well, wait, what day is today? Today is Thursday. Send me an email before this is over to add this to my sticky note for my meeting with Tom, and I will ask him tomorrow.
By the way, today's Wednesday.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you said Thursday, but that's okay.
Okay. Yes. Well, today is the day before Thursday, which is why a note today would be helpful. An email today would be helpful for my meeting on Thursday with Tom.
There you go.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. Anything else we have to cover in this meeting?
I mean, do we want to look at some of those buys? I think most of those we actually do have
All right,
operators.
let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look. Yep, operator
Yep.
form, operator form, operator form.
That's on the list.
Yep,
Yep.
there's an operator form.
And I use that one quite a bit. Oh, nope.
Okay, all right, let's look at ordering by.
That might be motivated by the fact that it's, you know, a lot of the common usages are multi-argument.
Yeah, it's just an oversight split by, I think.
Yeah, ordering by, reverse sort by, or a team, a trio.
Oh, take largest by seems to be one where we insert something in the middle and take smallest by.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
let's
Oh, no,
look
it's
at,
inserting something
times
at the
by is a
beginning.
pure operator form, right?
I
Say it
think
again?
so. Yes, I believe
I-
that's correct.
I was saying that times by, I believe, is a pure operator form.
why do you say that? That's not right. Times by is something completely different. It's a side effect.
Oh, it's that one. Okay.
Oh,
Because I feel like
I
we
was
also
fooled by
add-
that too.
Okay, I feel like we also added a something is it multiply by? No, there isn't that. I feel like we added something that was a pure, right, precisely because we couldn't, you know, use times by, right? And times is var arg, so it can't be an operator form. I feel like didn't we add something?
We did like equal to
Yes.
or same
Yeah.
as also
Yeah,
are
yeah.
operator only forms that were replacements for
Right.
var args.
Right, but we didn't do that for basic arithmetic, is what you're telling me, which is.
Oh, we want it for basic arithmetic. I mean, I see it. It's a thing that is a multiplied by this.
Right, just like we have greater than, which is the operator form of greater, which is used in like
Yeah.
entity computations.
Right,
to
it's a predicate, but I don't know why we want it as an action. I mean, threaded does some of the things, perhaps. Let's just look at our ordering by. Hold on 1 second. Well, I mean, the obvious operator form with the one argument version. I mean, look, it doesn't seem crazy to have ordering by of f as an operator form.
Yeah,
Remember, we're doing it for all three then, if we do it for one.
what do you
All
mean?
three what?
Sort by and reverse sort by.
That's already in there.
Oh. I missed that.
Yeah, it's in all
Okay.
of them. It's in all of them except ordering by and
Okay.
these other ones where we missed it. Oops.
Sorted by I'm less familiar with, but
Sorted by is
operator form. Oh, okay. Yeah, then it should be an ordering by. I'll add that too.
okay, fine.
Yep.
All right.
All right, well, it looks like I underprepared. I did have to substitute one agenda item for another one that would definitely have been a lot longer discussion, so.
What was it?
Or so sorry
we
for
missing?
underestimating.
What were we missing?
It was a discussion about like, you know, if you have some property that can be a quantity, like how can you get it as a quantity or as a number in particular units or things like that.
Okay.
But it was sort of a big mess, and not everyone was available, and so we
Fine.
rather than having a bad discussion, I substituted this topic, which clearly with the other ones also going short, this did not fill out a full agenda. So sorry about that. I guess we'll come in. I guess we'll come in short one of these meetings as opposed to our normal
Yep, right,
going
that's
over
fine.
by 30 minutes.
Fine. Okay, well, let's declare victory then.
All right,
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
See you another time.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.